Welcome to Roice-Hurst Humane Society's Dog Handling Standards Training for safer and more productive interactions with dogs. This training was developed by Roice-Hurst's wonderful volunteer and professional dog trainer, Carol Peter, for whom we are very grateful. These handling standards are important for the safety of staff and volunteers. They help keep dog stress to a minimum and help avoid unintended reinforcement of undesirable behaviors. Consistency helps dogs develop routines and expectations, which reduces stress. These standards also give handlers practiced, proven strategies to follow. These standards are based on a breakdown of the elements of an interaction with a dog. These are the elements of an interaction with a dog: approach and assess, opening the kennel door, exiting the kennel, and walking and rekenneling. Next, we will discuss each of these elements one by one. First is approach and assess. As you approach a dog's kennel, read the dog's body language. Are they confident, eager, hesitant, or fearful? Adapt your approach as warranted by the dog's body language. For hesitant or fearful dogs, reduce your height, avoid direct eye contact, turn sideways, and keep some distance. Wait for the dog to show some interest. For overly aroused dogs, walk calmly, speak softly, and reward the dog for having their feet or butt on the floor. Always work at the dog's pace. Don't push a dog to feel that using aggressive behavior is necessary. Next, you'll see a video example of approaching and assessing the dog.
All right, you might be mindful as you approach the kennel of what the dog's body language is telling you. You see how Betty backed away because I gave a very direct frontal approach. When you see that kind of shy body language, just soften your body language, maybe turn on an angle, adapt your body language so that the dog feels a little less fearful. And you can see she's not running away anymore.
After approaching and assessing, it's time to open the kennel door. For most dogs, slip leashing through a small opening of the kennel door is the best approach. Place your foot in front of the kennel door to block any more than an arm's width opening of the door. Have a slip leash with a generous loop in one hand to cast around the dog's neck. Then remove your foot from blocking the kennel door to prepare to let the dog out. Here's a video of this process.
For most dogs, you're going to want to just get the dog out just by opening the kennel run door just a little bit in order to get the dog out. So to do that safely, you'll want to put your foot just about 3-4 inches away from the gate, just enough so that it's about the size of your arm to get it through the gate. And then Roscoe, thank you very much for putting your paw through the leash. You're going to have a big loop on the leash so that you can entice the dog through that. And you may even have to use a little treat in order to get the leash around the dog. So now you tighten, remove your foot, and then let the dog exit the kennel. Be sure to use that hip lock as you need it in order to keep the dog from dragging you as they come out of the kennel.
If slip leashing through a small opening in the kennel door is not possible, entering the kennel is another option. Swing the door into the kennel if possible, and walk forward into the kennel to block the dog's ability to squeeze out. Once inside, immediately close and latch the door behind you. You may have to adapt your posture if the dog is hesitant or fearful. Here's a video of this process.
For those dogs where you need to go into the kennel in order to get them leashed up, these might be dogs that have a tendency to back away or to be a little head shy, fearful of the leash, whatever. When you go in, you're going to go in full frontal as a body. Quickly shut the door behind you.
Next, you'll exit the kennel. Always check your surroundings before exiting the kennel. Cue the dog to wait as you start to open the door. Use the slip leash hip lock to prepare for the dog to lunge forward. As you pass other dogs, keep the dog on the kennel side using the Superman leash position and with as much distance as possible. Here's an example video of this process.
Okay, as you get ready to exit the kennel with the dog, be sure you look around, make sure in your surroundings that no one is coming with the dog, and then as you get ready to exit, cue the dog to wait. This is an important thing because it really helps you as the dog comes out of the kennel, and it also starts to show some manners to potential adopters. So we're going to ask Betty to wait. I'm going to start to open the door. She starts towards the door. It gets closed. We practiced this once and she didn't. And she did that, so she learns pretty quickly. Beautiful. Okay, and as you come out, use that hip lock. And that hip lock is holding the leash very rigidly at your waist or hip so that the dog can't get leverage on you. And then you start to walk.
Now that the dog is out of the kennel, it's time to walk the dog. On a walk, always keep the dog beside or ahead of you. Use the hip lock to avoid being pulled off balance. Remember to keep your distance from other dogs.
So when you're walking one of these dogs that has a tendency to have poor leash manners, tends to wander around, you want to be sure that you are using that hip lock. In other words, holding the leash very steady and very tightly here at your hip so that the dog does not get leverage on you. It's not meaning you're going to tighten the leash so much that the dog chokes. It's just that if they do start to pull, you're using the strongest part of your body to resist being pulled along with them. You also want to be sure that the dog stays ahead of you or next to you. Never let the dog get behind you. If he gets behind you, you're probably going to wind up on your backside. And then finally, use the environment. If something happened where the dog was pulling heavily or there was some other type of distraction that you felt you needed some additional stability, grab a hold of a tree, grab a hold of a kennel, some sort of object that might give you more stability and allow you to provide some distance from whatever the distraction is.
After your walk, it's time to re-kennel the dog. Put the dog into the kennel with you staying outside of the kennel. Then take the slip leash off of the dog's head. Toss treats into the kennel if the dog is hesitant to go in. For head-shy dogs, remove the slip leash with a separate snap buckle leash. Here's a video example of this process.
All right, so when you return a dog to the kennel, you want to do this in such a way that you can just move on quickly but safely and the dog is back in the kennel. So notice I put Roscoe in, but at the same time I stayed out. I put my foot back in that foot lock position, giving myself 3 foot or something like that. You notice Roscoe can't come out. I'm able to quietly slip the leash off of his head and then put the latch down on the kennel door, and then also be sure to rehook the carabiner. Those head-shy dogs that may seem to want to back away from hands moving towards them, you may need a little extra trick to leash and unleash them. You're going to take a buckle leash and attach that to the ring of the slip leash, and then just kind of hold it slack. And then as you... Hi, sweetheart. Good girl. You leash the dog, right? That just gives you another way then, at the end of the walk, to loosen the leash without your hands moving towards the dog. Thank you so much.
If it's necessary to enter the kennel with the dog to re-kennel them, immediately close and latch the door behind you. Remove the leash and then toss a few treats to the back of the kennel. Exit the kennel while the dog eats the treats. Or, while continuously facing the dog, open the door inward if possible, exit, and then carabine the kennel door.
All right, so when you're getting ready to re-kennel the dog at the end of a walk, and this is a dog that you feel you need to enter the kennel in order to leash them back or to take off the leash, you're going to come on into the kennel, immediately close the door, then you're going to take the leash off. Oops. And for Mr. Rocco here, I'm going to take some treats and I'm going to toss him to the back of the kennel just to distract him as I exit the door, again blocking the exit with my body. Rocco, what's it? Look there. And as he's eating, I exit, and don't forget to replace the carabiner.
Here's a list of equipment to have on hand to facilitate dog handling. Slip leashes and clip leashes are used at Roice-Hurst. Some dogs who are head shy prefer clip leashes. Harnesses work well for dogs who pull strongly. Collars are necessary for use of clip leashes. Some dogs at the shelter wear them, while some do not. Please ask staff for assistance putting collars on dogs unless you feel comfortable doing so on your own. Refillable squeeze tubes are great for rewarding good behavior. You can find these in the shelter's kitchen. Fill your hand with high-value treats and keep it closed as if your hand was a Kong to keep a dog's focus. To keep treats on you at all times, wear a treat bag. You can bring your own treats or grab some from the food pantry and kitchen at the shelter. While you're handling dogs, keep these skills in mind to practice developing and enhancing. Leashing and walking the dog with a slip leash, controlling the kennel door, your body language, orientation, and personal space, hip or waist lock with the leash, keeping the dog in front of you, never behind you, using the environment for stability when a dog pulls you, like empty kennels, trees, structures, and vehicles, and running the leash under one leg to keep their head down. Safety is our top priority. Always remember to place the carabiner back onto the dog's kennel and on yard areas when animals are in there. Read staff labels and notes for all animals before handling them. Know where the bite kits and first aid kits are. Announce when you're walking in or out of a door with an animal. Only interact with animals you feel comfortable with handling. Always carry a radio when working directly with the animals. In conclusion, keep in mind these important dog handling rules. Always be aware of your surroundings. Communicate with staff and other volunteers when coming out of kennels or out of the building, and be prepared to wait for others to finish passing by. Loudly announce coming in or coming out when entering or exiting the building with a dog. These handling standards are to keep you, other volunteers, staff, and our dogs safe. Thank you for choosing to spend time with our shelter dogs. If you have any questions about the content of this video, please contact the volunteer coordinator. Thank you to Carol Peter for developing this training.